This is a SACHS DOLMAR 133, 85cc with a 36-inch bar. It's not seized up. It did run. Now this saw is, it actually has a nice little bit of history. I'll tell you about it, pal. A little quick story. This was purchased brand new. So they made these, man, I looked it up and now I'm gonna make it up. I believe from the late 70s up until 1987, maybe the early 80s. It wasn't a long stretch of time. They made the SACHS DOLMAR 133 and the 133 Super. Anyways, the story where it came from. I actually got this saw from my dad. Papa got it from his brother, which people will know from the videos. Garth, friend of the channel, the master of heavy equipment. Back in the day around here, there used to be trees that were actually big enough that you didn't have to worry about how you were gonna cut a 2x4 out of them back in their day, proper trees. And did a bit of logging in their day. So that's where this baby came into play. Purchased brand new for the purpose of felling trees. But it did not live a super long existence because what happened is it proved to be quite heavy. It's very, very heavy saw, and we're actually gonna weigh it because I got you guys in another video to guess how much you think this saw weighs, so we're gonna find out together. Okay, well we got a real highly technical scientific scale here. Now, buddy, why don't you have a guess? What do you think this chainsaw weighs before we throw it on the scale?
That number.
140 pounds? I don't know about that. Okay, here we go. We're gonna find out. Well, I got the same number twice. In fairness to us, because you know people get skeptical, we did take something that we knew how much it weighed and tried this scale out. So it is pretty close enough. This saw with a 36-inch bar with no fuel in it weighs 25 pounds. 25 pounds. We're gonna have to look through the comments and see if anybody got close. We got passed on to my dad because it makes a good firewood saw. And that's what he used it for. Not a lot of falling. It was just used as a firewood saw, which is good because you're not holding it up or whatever. You just set this beast into the pile of logs and she just chews. Away you go, easier on the arms. But he too, like many guys, gets lured in to buy new tools once in a while, and you know, it has been succeeded by more modern, nicer, newer saws. And the poor thing was sitting in a shed, just lonely, cold, afraid, you know, and looking for new life. And us of younger body and weaker mind, well, we think we're gonna have a crack at it again. So it did run, everything worked fine, but it got left with fuel in it. So I suspect the tank, well, the tank for sure is gross. The carb's probably gummed, and other than that, well, I hope it runs. Does that look factory to you? Upon closer inspection here, everything's pretty crusty. Probably be easier to disconnect that choke instead of fighting it, but here we are fighting it. We're gonna go ahead and just get a rebuild kit because I think what's gonna happen, things sit so long with old fuel in them that you go to do all the trouble of trying to get this, oh yeah, it's like hard as a rock. Got it. There, now we're free. Free and clear, so needle and seat in there, which we went this far, we might as well pop it out because it's likely you get a rebuild kit, it comes with a new needle. Do 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 do. Man, I'll tell you, I edited a little bit of video. Oh, I left my flashlight on. The song that I use at the start of the video, the intro, that it's stuck in your head. I can't even make this stuff up. I'm standing in the garage here, and that's why I kept looking up here. I hear this. What the heck? I mean, this house is a pretty new house. Like, there's no way there's something living in the attic. I go out there, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to try and get a picture of it. It was a bird about that freaking big. Some kind of woodpecker maybe. It's got a big beak. I've never seen one before. Smashing the shit out of the vinyl siding. There. Hasn't been cracked open for like 10 years. Oh. I hope that's not a sign of what the tank's gonna look like. Man, I hope we can get that to seal back up again. The threads are still on, so that's a plastic fitting. But the pickup tube on the bottom dissolved into liquid. So this is extremely fortunate that this is still good. A fuel tank needs a vent, or the fuel cannot get out of the tank and be pumped, sucked up through the carburetor. So Dolmar, in a feat of engineering, incorporated the tank vent into the pickup fitting all in one piece. So the way it works is there's a little tiny hole in the end of this. This is in the tank. You got your pickup tube, which I got a new pickup tube, pickup filter on the end of that, and then that goes on the end of this in the tank to replace our rotten one. And then you have a supply fuel line on this fitting that goes to your carburetor, right? There's a, like that, boop, onto the carb. Now the vent goes through this little hole, and there's a notch right there in this fitting that had some sort of nut that used to go over it, which I'm assuming was also plastic. The fix, which, man, I'll tell you, if the best invention on the internet, forums. Forums on the internet save me so much trouble. I went inside, I Googled it, ta-da, exact same saw, guy had the exact same problem, and they had a picture of how they fixed it. So this is how they went about fixing it. This vent still needs to vent, but I don't have whatever nut used to go over it. So they took a piece of fuel hose, I don't happen to have it, I just happen to have this, 3/8 line, which is what this is, and cut a piece just big enough to come to the top of these threads right here. So that effectively seals off the hole and doesn't let fuel leak out, but lets it suck just enough air to allow the saw to run. That's the theory. I don't actually know if it works, but it's what we got, so it's what we're gonna try. Ugh. It broke. Look at that. That's the fuel filter on the end of the pickup tube. That is less than ideal, because there's still a chunk of gooey old plastic in there. Let's pop the spark plug back in it. We should have checked to see if it even had spark. It could just be, let's do that. The spark plug could be no good. Now there is an on-off switch. Which way was on and which way was off? Start, so of course you won't get any spark if it's in the wrong direction. We might as well dig into it a little further. That last minute thought, I was like, oh yeah, spark. Does it have spark? No. Should it have spark? Well, ideally, it would have spark. We're jumping around here. This has sat here for quite some time now. Ta-da. I didn't have one of those. Well, not that I could find. I might own one, I just couldn't find it. So, a puller to pull this off, but in the meantime, we are going to address this skanky old fuel tank. Evaporest. I am only familiar with this from YouTube. That isn't steel, so I don't know if this stuff will eat it off or not. All right, we let this thing sit here for about 24 hours. Let's dump the juice out. See what it looks like. I was 99% sure that that wasn't going to do a ton for us because, of course, it is meant to remove rust. It did remove a fair degree of the what was left over, the plastic pickup tube and stuff like that. But the actual jelly corrosion, it just kind of made it swell up even more. So I do have a jug of lacquer thinner. I don't want to risk the plastic fitting, so that has been removed under our temporary weather cover. The saw head with the soaking gas tank out here so it can stink and fume and do its own thing. This is going to be the last rinse of the fuel tank. But hopefully that was it. Well, let's see what it looks. Is it gross? That's not bad. It's a little dirty. Just gray though. No chunks. All right, we're calling that a win. So it didn't have spark, so I figured it's probably just a simple matter that it just needed to be cleaned up a little bit inside there, and sure enough, it was just all corroded. So clean that up. And then of course with the crappy tank, we're gonna be reliant on and probably changing an intake filter more than a few times. Fuel fittings back in. Intake filter is back in. We'll put this back in so I don't lose it. The gasket rotted off of this cap, but it doesn't leak actually without it, so we're not gonna fret over that at the moment. Did something else go on top of this bugger? Should have taken pictures as you went, pal. You're probably watching going, bud, not only are you putting that together in the wrong order, you're missing like it's not even a little piece that I was missing. Great big giant piece. Oh well, get all the crap cleaned off. I don't want to clean it up too good. I mean, sometimes I find with old stuff, part of the reason it was still working is because of all the patina and the character holding it together. So I did that thing where you take something apart and then you really can't remember how it goes back together. There's a spring and then this piece of steel, and that is the spring-loaded catch that the recoil grabs to start the motor. There's only so many ways it can go together. Got her figured. Full disclosure, I cheated a little bit and I looked up a picture on the internet. We had this indexed wrong. So now, I'll put the spring in underneath. That should sit like that and bounce off those two flats. I had it out of joint. There's no shame in looking up something. It's kind of, I don't know. I'm torn on that subject. It's kind of a lost art for people to just really look at something and figure it out on their own accord. Because your go-to is, well, why would I waste the time? Why don't we just look it up and move on with our day? But that problem-solving skill, I mean, it's got a lot of value to it too, you know? It's not always available to look up information. Or maybe you're somewhere where you can't look up information. It's just, I don't know. It's funny. This is where we're hoping for good news. I didn't check to see that this spark plug was samesies. Well, good enough for the girls we go with. Hard to tell. Flopping around there. Why do we not have spark? It did have spark when it was put away. Oh. Ah, that's got spark. Okay, the old plug spark and the new plug, nothing. How do you like that? You can't be serious. Whoop, whoa, whoa, whoa. Didn't have a malfunction there. Nothing. Brand new spark plug. Nothing. Old shitty spark plug. That in there. Spark. Has that ever happened to you? Brand new plug, out of the box, dead, dud, NGK, $7 worth of garbage. And this, Bosch. You know what? This actually says Germany on it, Bosch, made in Germany. This very well could be the original spark plug that was in the saw. That's how little use this thing has had. With any luck, this is the appropriate carb kit. You forgot a screw. You forgot the retainer screw. Because I got the carburetor almost all the way back on the saw, and then looked in the bolt bin. I was like, oh, I wonder what that little guy's for. Well, that would have sucked. Okay, round 2. We are running out of pieces to put on. That's a good sign. Let's fire the damn thing up. Now, being that it's me and this saw's first time together, you know, I want it to be a positive experience. I don't want it to feel coerced. We're not gonna prime it. We're not gonna lube it. We're not gonna dose her down the spark plug hole. That might be a mistake for my arm. I'm gonna pull my guts out, but I think it might just go. So some choke, some throttle. Here we go. We're just gonna pull all 25 pounds or whatever this thing was until hopefully something happens. Oh, did you see that? It barely even took any pulls. The kill switch doesn't work. Oh, the choke kills it though. Oh my God, that thing's, oh, holy Christ. That thing is effing heavy. Holy shit. Oh, that'd make a man out of you in a big hurry. Are you like, what? We're gonna have to put a counter on how many pulls that took. Choke, pull, pull, bang. My steel that's brand new doesn't run that good. But the kill switch doesn't work. Ah, a small thing in a big outfit. Let's see if it'll fire back up again. The choke kills it right away, and it doesn't seem to care that I choke it to kill it. Well, obviously we got to sharpen it and cut something. Little pit stop here at the shop. We need some bar oil. How satisfying to put something together. Oh, I forgot a little screwdriver too. We were gonna tune it a hair. That's still got no, so the fuel fill, the gasket, that was no good on that. I had an O-ring that fit. Oh. I just got to thinking here before we get too heavy duty working her, even though, you know, we give her a pretty good revving up top there for a second or two. Just gonna dump a little bit more juice in the tank. Just there. It's been sitting a long time. Better to be too lubed than not lubed enough. Isn't that right, old girl? I won't hurt you one bit. That I can imagine. We could probably dump whatever in there, and you'd just burn her up all the same. Solid bit of wood here, so let's just feed her in and see what she likes. Well, there you have it. Safe to say that the old girl has got the power to cut. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, into the 17th and 18th log. Fully buried, 3-foot bar. I didn't tune the carb, nothing. I just left her how it was when I got it. It could use a little low end work for idling, but man, she's got balls. It's not even warm. Wasn't even working. What a beauty. What a beauty. I cannot be happier that it's running, it's working. Kill switch needs to be fixed. It does not seem to be oiling 100% correct. So that's gonna need some cleaning out. It's just gummed up. And I don't know if it has an adjustable oiler on it or not. We'll have to look. But just some small things. We're just gonna clean that up. Maybe see if we can get a few spare parts to keep on hand for it. And it's gonna make a hell of a saw. I'd say backup saw, but I don't know. I'm pretty fond of it. I'm getting a wet butt here, sitting in the snow. So, as always, I am glad you followed along. I'm super glad that it came to a great conclusion. And, well, let's get on to another adventure. Merry Christmas. Full tilt, trigger lock on, 3-foot of bar with a full chain, dug straight in at a 45-degree angle in a solid pile of wood. If that don't bog her out, ain't nothing bogging her out. That's a chainsaw.